So, story time. There was this little boy. One day, his teacher gave him a letter. And she was like, do not read this. Pass this letter to your mom. Do not read it. It's fine. Okay. And he take the letter. He's walking home. You know, it's a half day for him. He's skipping and stuff like that. He give this letter to his mom. His mom pulled out the letter. She was like, what is this? She's like, oh yeah, my teacher said you need to read this, you know? She was excited. Oh, it must be like something good. So she was pulling out the letter. She was crying. She was bawling her eyes out. It wasn't like, it wasn't cry because she happy or something. It was like literally sadness. It was like shock. And she read it out loud. Your son is a genius. We could not handle him no more. There's nothing for us to teach him. You just take it from there. You know? So every single day, the mother, whenever the son wakes up, like, hey, you're a genius. Let's learn this lesson. So that boy, I think it was like sixth grade, 8th grade, something like that, he never got back to school. No formal school. And he became the greatest inventor of the 20th century. Guess who it is? Thomas Edison. He invented the light bulb and all that good stuff. When his mom passed away, he was going through all of her stuff. And he found that letter. Okay? And he read it and he was crying. He cried just like the way she cried when she first read it. But he was crying his eyeballs out. And it's like, your son is, word for word, is idle. We could not teach him. We can't teach him no more. He has no place in the school. What does that mean? See, if he was to know that letter as a little kid, what would happen? What would happen?
Crushed.
He would be crushed. He would be an idle kid, right? He would be nothing. Would he ever be an inventor? See, that kid he had learning disability. You know, he couldn't learn. That's why the school couldn't even take him. But he had this absolute belief that he is a genius because his mom said, you're a genius, you're a genius, you're a genius. Every single day. And he grown up thinking he's a genius and go on to invent it. You know, the bullet light, you're gonna try it 1,000 times. When you try something like 10 times, it's like giving up, right? You try it 1,000 times because his identity is so ingrained in him that I'm a genius. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna try it 1,000,000 times. It's gonna work out because I am a genius. So that's just so powerful because what I've noticed, and it changed my entire life too, and I read this somewhere, is that most people, when they try something, when they try to change their life, they focus on the action, which is good. But here's some real statistics. 75% of Americans fail to lose weight. And it's not because they're not taking the right action or anything. Because initially, they were motivated, right? And motivation is like a battery. It's gonna drain. What happened when it drained? You just give up. You just go back to your old habits. If your self-image is still the same, you're never gonna change. There was also this guy who does surgery. So what he noticed is that there are some people who change maybe they have a really weird nose or something, they change their nose, or like they have some weird feature in their face that they're really insecure about, and they change it. So there's two types of people. Those who actually change, maybe their nose or their eyes or something like that, their self-image change. They literally went on to become like millionaire or like become really successful, or like, you know, they start to like do an amazing thing. But there are people where he completely transformed their face. It's like more beautiful than average people, but they still think they ugly, or they still think their identity is still there, and nothing changed. The weird thing, they even complain like, I still look weird. Like it's what's going on. I was like, What are you talking about? Your face is perfectly symmetrical. You know? So that is the power of identity, guys. So it's the identity will literally back it up with like, you would, if you change your identity, you would literally die to protect that self-image. There are people who are willing to go to war and who are willing to kill themselves, right? They're willing to sacrifice the self in order to protect a certain ideology because they identify themselves with it. That is the power of identity. It could be very destructive if it's a bad identity, right? Look at Hitler. But it could be really powerful if it's a great identity. So today, we want to change our identity. And what I figured out is that it's not a process of adding more, because if you just add more identity, it could be a burden, you know? It's like there's so much weight you carry on yourself. It is a process of replacing. So basically, we want to replace our bad identities, our current labels, certain aspects of ourselves that is not no longer serving us, and we'll replace it with new identities. Let me pull out my notes real quick. All right, so another quote for you. Whatever you chase will run away. Success or everything in life is like, a lot of people like chase, right? It's like a butterfly. Like the more you chase, the butterfly is gonna run away. You can only attract the butterfly by becoming something that you can only attract butterfly. So success is something you attract by becoming that person. So the question is, who do you need to become, right? So you guys have your notes with you? Question is, what are one or two label or identity that you need to drop for certain aspects of yourself? So for example, for a very long time, I think this identity that no longer served me, actually do me a lot of harm is, you know, I lived in a fraternity for 3 years, so I identify myself as a frat boy, you know, this troublemaker. And that gave me a lot of confidence through life. It's no longer serving me. It actually do a lot of harm. So this 4th of July, I decided not to drink at all. I just literally not drink a drop of alcohol. And I make you know, like a statement in front of my friends that I'm dropping that identity. So that's an example for you guys. So what that aspect of yourself that you need to drop? What do you label yourself as?
Still today, I don't drink a drop of alcohol.
Yeah, I haven't drank yet.
Yeah,
Just more than 4th of July, you know, probably.
That doesn't count, bro.
counts for him. Counts for him.
At your wedding, I'll drink, you know?
What's that?
At your wedding, I'll drink, you know?
Hey, that was a great speech, by the way.
Thank you. It's from the heart, you know? Yeah. One or two identity.